Well, we're here at Symbolic Motorsports with Bill Noon, who's the Classics manager. That's what I'm going to title you, Bill.
Sounds good to me.
Quick bit of history on Symbolic, and then a quick bit of history on the Paul Newman car.
Well, we opened the doors here in November of 1994. We've been here ever since, and we intend to be here quite a bit longer. We've having a lot of fun. The building was abandoned for a while, and previous to that, in the 80s, it had been the authorized Ferrari dealership.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the Newman car you guys have had for how long?
Came to us about maybe 30 days ago and just went public about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's when I heard about it and decided to make the pilgrimage out here. So it's the 87, the year's 1987. It's a Newman Sharp 300ZX 2+2. What's the story behind the 2+2?
Well, Bob realized at the end of the 87 season that they could take advantage of a loophole in the rules. As long as you use the stock silhouette, didn't matter which version of the car you chose to use. And you had to stick with the stock iron block engine and the cylinder heads, but you could change gearbox and mechanics on it. The advantage on the Nissan 300ZX 2+2 was a longer wheelbase and gave incredible better stability on the high-speed tracks, Daytona and places like that, where really speed was all important and giving the car really planted to the ground.
What would Newman get this thing up to on a track like Daytona?
I mean, Daytona approaching 200 miles an hour easily.
Man, whoever, I'm sure his manager must have hated that.
I mean, you know,
Could you imagine you got such a bankable guy like Newman, especially in the 80s, let's say?
I don't think they even questioned him at that point. I mean, he was such a great actor, and he was such a great race car driver, and the fact that he was both is what's so incredible.
I know, but if he just stuffed this thing into the wall at Daytona, he would have never gone on to make The Verdict. That's the only one I could pull out of my ass at such short notice. Whoever buys this car is going to spend somewhere around $275 in that neighborhood.
Would make us very happy.
And well, I think it would make that person happy too, because you know you must have your eye on other guys like Steve McQueen, other legends in sort of motoring and in Hollywood who have passed away, and you've seen what their stuff has done. As a matter of fact, I don't want to tell you how to sell the car, but I would work Steve McQueen and his Lusso Ferrari into the mix. If you're going to, you know, let's just say some ex-NBA player, well, let's just say a guy my height wanted to race a car like this, we'd probably have to figure out a way to modify that seat a little bit.
It's not so much how much legroom you got. You're gonna have plenty of legroom, and you're gonna have plenty of travel on your arms. The biggest problem is the seat, the width of the seat. The seat right now is still Paul's seat.
I have a fat ass?
It's a little tight. No, I didn't say that part, but
I read
I didn't ask you to sit inside, did I?
No. So the steering wheel's off. It's on the dash or somewhere. Oh, it's sitting right next to the cage, and this thing would have been built by Bob Sharp, built back east, had really the only Nissan part on this thing is probably the engine block, right?
They used some of the silhouette of the panels to make the molds for the car itself. They used a lot of their own fiberglass in the vehicle. The rules required that they use the stock block and the cylinder heads, but you could change final drive ratios, you could change gearboxes out, but you had to run the manufacturer's stock engine block. Now you could do a lot of internal modifications and obviously do a lot of reinforcement, a lot of things on the intake side of it. But that was the basic rule for the IMSA. And because the rules for Trans Am only differed slightly on the wheels and tires, the car was able to run in both those seasons, both IMSA events and Trans Am.
You know, if you got an extra $275K floating around and you want a little piece of history and you're a big Paul Newman fan, come on by and see Bill. Well, standing here in front of my car at the San Diego Automotive Museum with my new best friend Ken and his last name, who I can't pronounce. Kokukusher.
Oh, that's pretty close. You must not be an English teacher. No. Just like it's spelled, Kokukusher.
The reason we came out here and Ken was nice enough to stay open late and let us in is because my Newman car is here, and while Ken is a jack of all trades when it comes to these cars, he's not an expert in my Newman cars.
Not in your particular car.
Won't grill you on that. For those who are watching, you can see the differences between the one we saw over at, what the hell? Yeah, Symbolic, sorry. And this one, actually, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's my car, but I kind of dig the looks of, it. Oh, maybe even a little more than the next model. Now this is the you guys are doing a sort of tribute to the Z car, but I see a lot of Datsuns here.
Well, it's not Z car, it is Datsun in general.
Oh, okay.
The show is Datsun Nissan, the American story. So we don't see what stayed in Europe or Japan.
Now that to me looks like a Toyota over there. It doesn't look like a Nissan, but it is a Nissan.
But it is a Nissan.
And what is that called?
That's the Nissan Patrol. That would have been competition for the Toyota Cruiser. Yeah.
Did they bring the Patrol out here to the States?
Yeah. It was sold on the western side of the country only. Fellow who bought that new, contracted directly with Nissan, had it shipped, or he had to come out here from Minnesota and bought it.
Oh, he had to come out to the
He came out to the West Coast, drove it back. He used it for plowing his driveway back in Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a pioneer in buying Japanese cars.
Yeah, that's right.
He'd be the only guy in Minnesota with a Nissan,
especially with a plow in front.
1963.
He named it Admiral Togo.
Really? All right, now I don't like him. What year is that baby?
Boy, you asked me the details about this. I could look on the narrative that I wrote. I'm going to guess 69.
Oh, that's that late, huh? Well, now I have to walk over and look.
Let's check.
66.
66, okay, close.
Well, see, I said 63, you said 69, it was 66. I don't think I've ever seen one of these things on the street. I see like tons of Broncos and tons of Land Cruisers.
Right. This is fairly rare. And the lady who owns this has about 7, if you can imagine.
Wow. There's a lady that owns 7 of these?
Yeah.
I'd like to meet that that gal one of these days. And also we have the behind us is also looks like Bob Bondurant Driving School. I guess it's a 2000 Roadster.
It is a 2000, yeah.
And I guess that's what Bondurant kind of started with.
Yes, his early days.
Next to it is something that looks sort of like a Z, but I'm told was a prototype.
Prototype, yeah. The 3 design studios for Nissan competed to come up with the design when they decided to bring back the Z car. And my impression was that this is that is the one that made it, because La Jolla is the design studio that was successful.
That's not the 350Z. That's the one I'm sorry?
Somebody off the mic a fight's going to break out here over whether that's the actual one that made it or not. But either way, over here we got a 240Z and then a 280ZX.
That's the 10th anniversary,
10th
black
anniversary.
on gold.
Yeah. All the cool dudes had these.
Yeah, that's personal property of Fred Jordan of the Datsun Historical Museum, who helped us out on this show.
Yeah, wow, that thing is just bone stock and bringing me right back to 1981. I guess 1980. 1980. Yeah. I guess the 240Z came out in 1970 out here.
So this is
out here. So it's a 1980. I think one of my Little League baseball coaches had one of those. I was like, he's the coolest dude on the planet. He has a car with gold and a black hood. It was like, I remember that guy probably smoked those Kent cigarettes. And I was like, I thought this was the coolest cat in the world that he had a $7,000 car. I wonder what that thing retailed for in 1980. And then this, of course, is the iconic 240Z, first year in that great orange, and of course with the hubcaps nobody wants. But still very old school looking. I'm trying to think what else we got here.
Well, we got the last 300ZX parked over there, the very last.
Oh, really?
To Mike Sage.
This must have been the mid-90s at this point. 93, 94, 96.
Yeah.
That truck, by the way, is pretty damn close to what I used to drive when I swung a hammer. I'm trying to think what year that Datsun pickup is. 67. I always drove the Datsun pickup trucks because they're just pretty much indestructible. And got good mileage. You could throw anything you want in the back of them, and it just worked. Although not a fan of that bench seat with no headrest. Your headrest was glass. Essentially, a rear window was your headrest. 1936. Phaeton? Phaeton. Yeah, Phaeton 16. Wow. It's weird. You know what it's sort of like? It's sort of like in the It's kind of like a Bugsy Malone kind of Rolls Royce. It's like somebody took a car, a Rolls or a Jag, or I think more like a Bentley or a Rolls, and just shrunk it down 40%.
Yeah, they washed it in hot water and dried it full temp.
They did what my wife did with my sweater. I had a beautiful sweater. Threw that shit right in the dryer.
Man,
and washed it with hot water too.
I'm getting confused again though, because now I'm seeing a Datsun logo.
So you're
The
seeing
parent company was Nissan originally.
Right. But this is before the parent company. Okay. It started out as DOT, D-A-T, and then it became Datsun, S-U-N, then became Datsun, S-O-N, now S-U-N. So it's gone through some various iterations of the name.
Does it have anything to do with the flag? I just think the dot.
Well,
the rising
the
sun
logo is a takeoff on the flag and the early General Motors, or not General, but Chevrolet icon. Okay.
Was it red, white, and blue in Japan? Because I feel like all these. It's so funny when you see all these race cars. You look at my race car over there. You see all these cars. They're all red, white, and blue for the paint schemes, and it's weird because it's like that's our flag, and were they just kissing our ass, trying to sort of go, hey, we're okay? A lot of motorcycles and stuff like that.
Yeah. I can't tell you what the colors of what Datsun Nissan were using back in Japan.
Oh. Les is pointing to the red and the white.
Cloisonne badge in the red, white, and blue in 1936.
Wow. It's weird. It's almost like they knew the future. Like they knew they've been trying to kiss our ass and get us to buy a bunch of cars early on.
This is what's going to make it.
What's China's flag colors? I'm going to start my racing team with that color.
Red.
Yeah, I'm red. I've always been into China. Come on. Look at my old fire suit. Come on, fellas. Yeah. So they were Datsun, and then became Nissan, and then Nissan got hold of them.
In Japan, it eventually became Nissan, but when they decided to market over here, they knew Nissan was not going to do well after the war. So they went back to Datsun here. And now, after some time went by, they flipped it again.
Why did they know Nissan was not going to do well over the war? Because
Nissan was
made a lot of tanks.
They were building heavy trucks during the war.
Yeah.
Making Japanese Zeros.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
So that was not going to market well.
The issue was, too, when Mr. K first came here, if they failed, they didn't want it to fail as Nissan. They wanted it to fail as Datsun, because then it didn't.
No black
throwaway name.
Yeah.
No black.
All right. Ken, thank you very much. Why don't you go? I know you're running late. It was nice of you to let us into your museum, and you have places to go. But could you toss just one more coat of Carnauba wax on my car before you call tonight? I mean, I know you're busy.
We can take care of that.
Yeah, just go ahead and don't use the buffing wheel on it. I don't want to scuff that thing up. And if you see any kids leaning on it or getting their greasy fingers on it with the ice cream on it, just go ahead and take a rolled up towel to snap them in the back of the head. Oh, taser. Good.
Yeah, more effective.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, I appreciate it. And again, the San Diego Automotive Museum, anytime someone's out here in San Diego enjoying one of the many zoos or attractions or what have you, swing by and say hi to our friend Ken.
Yep.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.